The Chargers showed some resiliency on Sunday, shaking off a really ugly start to pick up a must-win in Tennessee.
You are Locked On Chargers, your daily podcast on the Los Angeles Chargers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, and welcome into the Locked On Chargers podcast. I'm your host, Daniel Wade, joined as always by my co-host, David Drogemeyer, and we've been covering the Chargers now for 10 seasons, but this is our 8th year as the host of the Locked On Chargers podcast, bringing you your team every day. Thank you to the everydayers out there for making us your first listen, especially for live victory post-game shows. But to make sure you never miss the show, go subscribe or follow for free on the Locked On Chargers YouTube channel and listen wherever you get your podcast from. David, it started off with all the recipes of a disastrous game to begin with, but the Chargers found a way to win ugly.
I know that Halloween was a few days ago, but man, that was nightmare fuel to start the game for sure. But fortunately, the Chargers overcome their mistakes and they were able to hold on and secure a major big-time victory.
Yeah, and no matter what you think of the Titans, with the schedule the Chargers had coming up, they had to win this game. So this was important, no matter how it looked. But today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. David, man, this was a game that obviously we both picked the Chargers to win by double digits. They end up winning by 7 in a game that didn't feel quite as close as that towards the end. The Chargers end up kind of winning in convincing fashion with their offense on the field, being able to kneel it down while they could have, put up even more points in this game, but did the most important thing, which is winning in victory formation. And man, it couldn't have started off any worse. I mean, the Chargers were down 14-7, and the Titans offense hadn't scored a single point yet. So for as ugly as it was, I do think there is something to the Chargers kind of showing some resiliency, not letting, that deficit, losing your tackles, all of the other bad stuff that started this game get to them and letting it spiral out of control. They found a way to kind of right the ship pretty early in the game and found a way to pull away late.
This game had all of the makings of an upset. The beginning was exactly what the Titans needed. That's exactly what they needed to be able to get that momentum on their side and go out there and try to pull off one of the biggest upsets of the season, and everything broke their way. They got an interception. They get the punt return all in the first quarter, and everything is looking great for them. And the Chargers, like they did previously, like against Washington, they could have folded. They could have allowed those mistakes to break them and not be able to recover. They did not. They overcame those mistakes, came back and answered, and ended up being able to secure the win, as you said, in convincing fashion. Not the margin that any of us expected, but they were able to get a big win.
Totally agree. And like there were a lot of positives to take away from this game, but like you're just not going to lose many or win many games that you lose the turnover battle, give up a special teams touchdown and throw a pick six. Like it just, those are not games that Chargers in the past would have won, really, no matter who was, coaching them at the time. But I do think there is something to just getting to 6-3. You're a mash unit, get a little bit closer to the bye week and try to just kind of pad your victories while you still can with, a big game coming up on Sunday Night Football. Getting to 6-3 was always the most important part. You just could not lose this game and realistically think you're still going to be in it at the end of the season or be able to beat the teams later on that you're going to need to. But it started off with, I'll call it, the worst pick of Justin Herbert's season at the very least. Bad. There's been a lot of tip balls and bad luck for Justin Herbert this year. This was not that. Stared down Keenan Allen. Cody Barton picks it off to make it a 7-0 game. And, I get it. It's a schemed-up play. It's a scripted play.
Yeah.
The script a little bit predictable, honestly, but basically you have Oronde Gadsden running through the center of the field, and then you have Keenan Allen trailing him, right? So the thought process is the linebacker's going to go with Oronde, and then Keenan Allen's going to find the soft spot right behind him. That being said, you can't predetermine that's the outcome before it happens. It was a lazy play. It was a really bad read by Justin Herbert, and every once in a while you'll get this, but I think that it's just more to the point of, okay, you can't, you have to play smart. This is a second down play. This isn't a third down, gotta have it play. Same as last week, where I believe it was first or second down, where he's running away, trying to throw it off his back foot with pressure in his face, and he ends up getting a tip ball that gets intercepted. You can't have it. You have to know your opponent. You have to know exactly what you need. And you can't, I mean, at this point, be staring down your wide receivers. You're just too much better than that. But I do think it was nice the way he was able to bounce back and honestly, really, for the most part, put the offense on his back the entire game.
Yeah, he really did. Obviously, that was a bad one. You know, he, as you said, he stared down the receiver, and you know it was easily read and intercepted and taken back to the house for a pick six. So can't excuse that one. I mean, there's nothing really to be said there. But he did not allow that to hold him down and was able to come back and really affect the game in both ways with his arm and with his legs. 250 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, including a big man touchdown to Scott Matlock. That is awesome. You absolutely have to love that. And like I said, he led the team in rushing yards, 9 carries for 57 yards. Obviously, one of those being a kneel down for Justin Herbert. But he was running all over the place and trucking dudes, like showing that strength, showing that, like, you know, getting everybody hyped up because, you know, sometimes when you're running as a quarterback, you want to protect yourself. And there are other times where you need to go out there and lay somebody out and make a statement. And that's what Justin Herbert was doing today. And it was great. It was a big part of the offense. He needed to do it. And unfortunately, he didn't run more because he still got hit a few times in this game.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that, obviously. As soon as, you know, Joe Alt and Bobby Hart leave this game, you know it's going to be one of those games, which is another reason why it was important they still picked up the win anyways, because that's what happened in the Giants game, right? You lose Joe Alt, everything goes to crap, and then it just the rest of the game spirals out of the control, especially for your offense. But yeah, and he has to pick his spots, right? Like, you shouldn't always be trying to truck stick a defensive end. You know, when it's someone like Tyrann Mathieu or a smaller defensive back, I understand. He was trying to pick up the first down, but I do think that drive was especially important because what had happened was the Chargers came out flat. I mean, right after the second half, you come out and then, you know, 3 play, you get sacked 2 of those 3 times. And it's just like, oh my God, like, are you going to have an offense at all in this second half? And it did feel like on that drive, Justin Herbert was showing the urgency that his offense needed. And that was not only, you know, a great drive, a 15-play, 99-yard drive that ends up in a touchdown with Justin Herbert sliding in safely into the end zone where he's
Beautiful
like, okay,
pop-up slide,
I knew I took a big shot and truck sticked a dude. I can be a little safer. I'll go ahead and slide on this one. Got to be careful. You don't want to slide before the goal line, obviously.
He was well in,
Obviously he was. But what I'm saying is, though, is on that drive, him being able to scramble, like him being your leading rusher is not a good thing for your offense for the most part, right?
Yeah.
But him knowing on that drive they needed a little bit more, taking it himself for, you know, a couple of first downs and into the end zone, I thought was great. Great play off the rip, backed up on your 1-yard line where I thought we could be seeing the first safety, finding Oronde Gadsden. Good throw there, giving yourself a little breathing room. But the other part of the, you know, what kind of made this such a disastrous start for the Chargers was their special teams. Unfortunately, not being special again, David, because they are not a good coverage team. And in this game, they end up letting DK go 67 yards to the house to make it 14-7 early.
Yeah, I mean, those another one of those plays, those special teams plays that can swing the momentum of the game, and they oftentimes do. And this was a huge play. He was able to read the blocks, get down the right sideline, and was basically untouched 67 yards into the end zone for a big Titans touchdown, and that one hurt. I mean, you see that, and like those are the scores, those are the things against these type of opponents will allow them to stay in the game, and it absolutely did for them. And the Chargers got to figure this out, man. That special teams unit, after being very, very good under Ryan Fick in the first couple of years, is seeing a pretty large fall from grace here, and like something's got to get figured out because the numbers are ugly.
And I think more than that, David, like obviously, you know, you have a great kicker. You know, I do think, right, I was talking with Kenyon Barner on the squad show right after the game where it's like, yeah, J.K. Scott definitely outkicked his coverage there a little bit. That's a rough spot to put your gunners in, you know, with the receiver having, you know, 10, 15 yards of space to kind of get going and then let them set up a well-executed punt return. But with your offense as banged up as it is, with your defense having some struggling moments at times, you can't have your special teams doing this. And I told David before the show, if it was just this one thing, it would be one thing. It's not one thing, though. It's a trend. And the Chargers now have the worst kickoff return coverage unit in the entire NFL, allowing almost 30 yards per return, and the worst punt return unit or coverage unit by far. They are allowing 18 yards per punt return after this touchdown. Nobody else is even a yard closer to that. I think the next closest team is 16.3 yards per return. That is atrocious. You're basically making every return man Devin Hester at this point with the big chunks the Chargers have been allowing. But special teams isn't the biggest issue right now. The biggest issue is Joe Alt got carted off the field, and Bobby Hart was injured as well. Right when you feel good about the tackle situation, they head into the locker room. So we got much more to get into, including that on today's Locked On Chargers podcast.
Today's show is brought to you by our friends over there at Peloton. Look, folks, it's time to break through the busiest time of the year with a brand new Peloton cross-training Tread Plus that's powered by Peloton IQ. It's Peloton's most elevated technology and equipment yet that gives you real-time guidance, and it gives you endless ways to move, whether you want to work out by yourself or if you want to work out with your favorite instructor, like my personal favorite, Alex Toussaint. He always gets me fired up to tackle the day. And the thing I like about Peloton, it helps me achieve more in less times. They have features that help you plan, stay motivated, track your progress, and Peloton IQ also provides personalized workout plans and recommendations. That's something that I use right now during the busiest time of the year covering the NFL. They plan my workouts for me based on my mood, my vibe, and also my favorite instructors. So make sure you check it out and use it, because it also helps you correct your form in real time, and it maximizes your reps. It counts your reps so that you can do it smarter, safer, and more efficient. Let yourself run, lift, flex, push, and go. Explore the new Peloton cross-training Tread Plus at onepeloton.com.
I also need to tell you guys about Supply House, because when the opening whistle blows on a new repair, get your crew moving forward with Supply House. Order today and see parts on your doorstep tomorrow. Over 280,000 plumbing, HVAC, and electrical items from the most trusted brands in the business. Their real-time inventory and honest lead times keep you from punting on projects, while their industry-leading customer service always has your blind side covered. I don't think when you have a project, the worst thing that can happen is the delays and waiting for parts. And do they have the parts? We need the parts. If you need parts fast for a project, Supply House has next-day delivery. Talk about a game changer. And the part finder tools and 3D schematics can save you hours on jobs where every detail matters. Their Trademaster perks like priority shipping and dedicated support make the whole process smoother. Join the free Trademaster program today, and some serious perks like priority shipping, lower prices, and a dedicated support line. Visit supplyhouse.com to sign up for free and use the promo code SHNFL5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Real people, real service. David, we have more to get into, including maybe the biggest news coming out of this game. I talked on the squad show just about it, feeling like the Chargers won the battle in this one, but maybe potentially lost the war because of who they lost. And man, it's just another week. Last week, it's, Tony Jefferson and Derwin James and Tarheeb still. Like, the Chargers cannot escape even the victories, feeling great about who they have on this roster afterwards, because it's been such a mash unit. And of course, in this one, where you go into the game feeling like, you know what, Rashawn Slater's done for the season, but maybe for the first time I go into a game feeling really confident about the Chargers tackles and who they're putting out there, with Joe Alt on the left side and Bobby Hart on the right side. Bobby Hart leaves in the first quarter, and before the first half can even conclude, you have Joe Alt again getting rolled up on from behind. This time, honestly, a Titans defender torpedoing himself into the back of Joe Alt's legs, and then he gets carted into the locker room once again. And David, it's hard to understate how important Joe Alt is. We had the buy or sell last week. He's the most important player on this team right now outside of Justin Herbert. So very important to be able to still find offense, find a way to win the game after losing those guys. But man, this is one step forward, two steps back with this team health-wise.
It just seems like it's every week. Every single game, every single time they step foot on the field, somebody's going down. And I understand that's the nature of the business. It's a violent game. These things are going to happen, but it just seems like it happens a little bit more often to the Chargers, right? Obviously, we're closest to them, and so that's what we see and what we experience. But man, Bobby Hart looked like he was really starting to come into his own, playing really good quality football after being on the street, basically being retired, coming out of retirement and coming back and playing really good. And I was really surprised. Honestly, he deserves the credit, and it was very unfortunate that, he got hurt. And apparently, according to the reports, it's a groin and an ankle for Bobby Hart. So
as if one's not enough.
Yeah, that's not good. Obviously, when you have multiple ailments, but we'll see what happens there. Obviously, for Joe Alt, they're saying it's the ankle, the same ankle that he had the high ankle sprain on last time. That he's going to have an MRI on Monday, and we'll see if there's a procedure that may need to happen to correct it. Who knows? Obviously, we'll have to wait and see, but it's just the Chargers having to figure it out, having to change what they do offensively on the offensive line once again to try to protect Justin Herbert. And unfortunately, it wasn't very good after they left.
Yeah, Joe Alt leaves on crutches. Bobby Hart has 2 injuries. And like the thing is like getting rolled up on, obviously some part of it can't be, there's no way to defend against it. There's no way to stop it fully. At the same time, though, it like guys are only getting rolled up on when the rest of your offensive line is losing. That just is what it is. Like defenders are not behind your offensive line to roll up on the back of other offensive linemen unless other guys are losing their battles. We've seen a couple times Zion Johnson. It wasn't him this time, but him losing off the line of scrimmage and kind of tossing guys in, a last-ditch effort into the back of Joe Alt's legs or Sean Slater's legs, whatever the case may be. It just sucks because it all compounds and spirals. And it's just like, I don't think that either of these guys are done for the season. That is probably the good news here. It doesn't seem like that, at least off the rip. But how do they survive until those guys get back? Does Joe Ortiz do something about it by the Tuesday's trade deadline? That'll be something for buy or sell tomorrow. But we have to talk about Oronde Gadsden because I do think that you can't get numb to this rookie putting up the kind of performances that he had, and he had another big one, David, on Sunday.
He most certainly did, and it's a trend, a very positive trend for Oronde Gadsden II. Is his 4th straight game of at least 5 catches and 68 yards receiving, including the monster game that he had against the Indianapolis Colts. So he has been a guy that ever since he got his first chance has made the most of it and repeatedly made plays over and over and has gotten open over and over. And for Justin Herbert, it is very clear that he is looking for them. They are scheming him plays open. He is a big focal point of the offense, and he's been fantastic. Just another great game for Oronde Gadsden II.
Yeah, it's now 24 catches for 377 yards and 2 touchdowns over the last 4 games. But the other part of it is he is where they're finding their explosive plays. Like they almost had one to Keenan Allen on a 3rd and 19 that they somehow should have miraculously converted, and Keenan just couldn't quite get in. Tried another one to KOS down the field, gave him a chance. Quentin Johnston has a nice back shoulder catch, later on in the game. But their explosives are coming from Oronde Gadsden, and this one he finds another 34-yard chunk where somehow he's finding himself all alone in the secondary, and once you get him the ball there, he is going to be able to find some yards after the catch. So right now, teams have to game plan for him. They have to try to take him away. And when they do start overcompensating towards him, it's going to open things up for everybody else, like Ladd McConkey, like Quentin Johnston, like Keenan Allen, and so on and so forth. But I do want to shout out Quentin Johnston because obviously ran more than 20 routes last week, was not targeted a single time. Thought it was a really, really nice bounce back game for him here, David, with some key catches and obviously doing what he does, getting back into the end zone.
That's for sure. I mean, say what you want about Quentin Johnston, but this guy knows how to score touchdowns, and he included in this game his team-leading 6th receiving touchdown of the season, including 3 other receptions on 5 targets for 53 yards. But beautiful, beautiful throw from Justin Herbert to just put it right over the outstretched fingers of the defender, right into the bucket, the corner, right corner of the end zone. Just an absolute dime and a great hands catch from Quentin Johnston as well. Great route, good catch, good throw. Everything was fantastic on that. And then, the back shoulder on 3rd down where he kind of had to adjust and contort his body to make that fantastic catch. I thought it was a very strong day from Quentin after not being targeted at all in the previous game.
Absolutely. I mean, I think 2 of his better catches, and I know we've said that a couple times this year, he's had a few of them, but those are not gimmies, right? And I mean, that sideline one to, adjust yourself, be able to find the football, and then also keep your feet in bounds is not easy to do. And, obviously that throw from Justin Herbert for the touchdown was insane. But one of the things I brought up on the squad show was just like, I liked that the Chargers were attacking the end zone from the 19-yard line. That's a red zone touchdown, but doing it while you have a little bit more space to operate with Justin Herbert's big arm, I thought was a positive contribution. But Justin Herbert spreading the wealth. Ladd 4 for 56, Keenan Allen 2 for 41, almost had that other big one. Trey Harris 2 for 18, but has one of the catches of the day, dragging Titans defenders on a 3rd down to come up 2 yards short and somehow miraculously still having a first down.
Pure effort.
99 times out of 100, that player does not get that first down. And Trey Harris doing what he does, man, continuing to do the dirty work, continuing to show, that physicality that's made him such a great run to blocker so far.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Justin Herbert spreading the love when Scott Matlock also gets involved for a touchdown too. Love a big man touchdown. But we still have more to get into because I thought the Chargers defense was mostly dominant. They allowed 6 points on the day. You will take that, especially after the Jackson Dart performance. They made life a little bit tougher for Cam Ward. So we're going to talk about that. And Dayon Henley going through a tragedy, but somehow coming through with maybe, his best performance since the flu game. All that and more in today's Locked On Chargers podcast. First, I need to tell you guys about FanDuel because the NBA is back and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you miss the start of a game, don't worry. If you want to ride the high hand, you can do that too. FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score the next or the fourth quarter comebacks. Man, I was talking about it earlier. What was the FanDuel Scott Matlock first touchdown score of the game one? I mean, for the Chargers, that would have been a really awesome payout. But the great thing about FanDuel is you can also combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout, and it keeps every game exciting and every sport more exciting when football's not on. But the odds aren't out yet. I'm very interested to see what the FanDuel line is for the Chargers on Sunday Night Football against the Steelers. But right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. More to clean up here, David, as far as the Chargers and especially what their defense was able to do. I do think it was a good defensive performance the Chargers put out there on Sunday, even though, they still had some of those things that have bugged us a little bit. But thank you, as always, especially, middle of the day on a Sunday, you guys being able to join up for the live show and making us your first listen. If you need a second listen, make sure to check out Locked On NFL, where they have 2 shows a day. Tyler, the Madman Rowland, and my guy, Tony Wiggins, in the Barbershop on YouTube, and wherever you get your podcast from if you want to keep up with everything around the league, including the Chiefs and the Raiders losing and the Broncos somehow, just surviving by the skin of their teeth. I don't understand how they keep pulling these games out unconvincingly, even when the other team's quarterback leaves. But alas, let's talk about this Chargers defense, David, because I think they had stretches of dominance in this game. I mean, they definitely held Cam Ward down, 145 yards, no touchdowns, a 13.7 QBR in this game, which I think is even more impressive knowing that you don't have Tarheeb still in this one. You don't have Tony Jefferson. Still some lapses, which I would chalk up to some young guys being out there, some open players down the field, some easy gains for the Titans. But man, it's hard to find too much wrong with what the Chargers did defensively.
Yeah, didn't allow an offensive touchdown at all. Also, besides keeping them under 150 passing yards, also kept them under 90 rushing yards as well. And the one time that the Titans had a real good opportunity to get into the end zone, the Chargers were able to force that turnover on downs at the 1 yard line. They got tough and they stiffened up when they absolutely had to, and they did not allow the Titans to get in. And after that, that was the closest that they got, and they never really got close after that point in time. The Chargers were able to get good pass rush on Cam Ward. They were able to make things difficult for him. And yeah, they might have had a couple of plays here and there, but there was nothing on offense that they did that really threatened the Chargers very much at any point in this game.
Yeah, and let's be honest, at their best, the Chargers are a bend but don't break type of a defense. And if you're going to do that, you can't break. And I thought, really what it came down to after being really good in the first half and not really being called upon much because special teams and the offense was giving up touchdowns on their own. Those 2 times you're talking about, the one time with the 4th down on goal, Jim Harbaugh definitely should have challenged that fumble. But man, it looked like that dude absolutely fumbled it through the end zone. And that would have been a touchback, which would have been an awesome stand. Either way, on 3rd down and 4th down and goal, the Titans tried to out-physical the Chargers, and they weren't able to do it. The Chargers came up strong. Shout out to Denzel Perryman, who did drop a pick in this game 2 weeks in a row, man, where that dude has to be yelling at his hands on the way home. Get on the judge machine,
Denzel.
But, man, we talk about stopping power and the importance of having Denzel Perryman out there, especially in those short yardage situations. That's where you see it show up. But it wasn't just that one. On that last drive, Titans trying to cut it to a 1-score game, and they do. But it could have been a touchdown drive potentially, and it was stopped on a 3rd and 2 where the Chargers once again bow up and find a way to get a big-time stop. The Titans looked like they were going to run for 180 yards in this game at the beginning. And I think this kind of puts it in perspective. Yes, they did get 88 yards on 19 carries, which a 4.6 average isn't great for your defense. But the first 2 carries went for 28 yards. Like they were a sieve to start this game, but that means the last 17 carries went for 60. So loose early,
I'll take it.
tightened up. They only allowed, after that allowed 3.5 yards per carry, which, you should against a bad running team in the Titans. But either way, I thought the biggest thing was when they were called upon, they answered it. And I think it started with the pass rush. Obviously, sacking Cam Ward 4 times. They lose 27 yards on those plays. But specifically Odafe Owe, David, who was the biggest, the only in-season addition the Chargers have made so far this year. They needed pass rush help. The pass rushes looked a lot better over the last couple of weeks, and Odafe Owe has been a big part of that.
He surely has. This seems like this was a shrewd business move on both sides for the Ravens and for the Chargers, as both of the players that they acquired are making plays and helping their team win football games. And
shout out Lowy Gilman, who's been good, to your point.
Exactly. Yeah, he forced that fumble, so good for him. And then Odafe Owe, 4 sacks in 4 games after not recording a single one with the Ravens at all this season. And he had these sacks on back-to-back plays. It was beautiful to watch. His length, his speed, his bend around the edge, it's showing itself. And it absolutely has made this Chargers pass rush a lot more deadly.
Yeah, I mean, it's really the second game, with Khalil Mack not on a snap count where we get to see Odafe Owe and Thule and Khalil Mack all being, on the field at the same time at some point. Yeah. But just having those 3 guys to call upon, because we know the Chargers like to rotate their edges. Speaking of which, Bud Dupree obviously whiffs on an unblocked sack in this game, of course. But yeah, like the fact that Bud Dupree is your edge 3 now, or your edge 4 now, and not your edge 3 makes a huge difference. So Odafe Owe, we talk about the sacks. I mean, 2 in this game, 3 in the last 2, and 4 in 4 games. I don't know what you hoped it would look for, but if I would have told you, hey, after they traded for him, hey, this dude's going to have, 4 sacks in the next 4 games, I think you'd say that's a good trade. And then shout out, to Alohi Gilman. Of course, if you're a Chargers fan, you want to win the trade, right? That's such a big thing. You want to win the trade. You want to feel like you're getting the better of that deal. But like at a certain point, though, why go after? You don't want to root against Alohi Gilman. Right. Unless, of course, if the Chargers play the Ravens, you want Alohi Gilman to have the worst game he's ever had. Sure, that's fair. But it seems like it's working out for both sides. And I think when you spend a 5th round pick to go get someone like this, a 5th round pick swap for a late 7th in 2026, you want this guy to be contributing. The biggest way he can do that is with sacks, and he had 2 in this game. So Deion Henley, we have to talk about him, David, before we wrap up here, because, man, I mean, just dealing with a tragedy. Deion's older brother, Jabari Henley, was tragically shot and killed on Friday at only 34 years old. It's being investigated as a homicide, murdered in the streets of Los Angeles. Just a totally brutal thing to happen, a very sudden thing to happen. And not only did Deion Henley play in this game, and obviously, first let's just say our condolences to the Henley family. Deion Henley is a great friend of this show. One of the only people who's ever come on this show multiple times as a active NFL player. And so it hits harder when you see that for someone you feel like a little bit, right? Like Deion has always been so cool to us. He has always not only been here and showed up, but like acted like he wanted to be here, you know what I mean? And wanted to give back to the fans. And it's just been such a good dude. And like he has had, an up and down season at times. But man, I don't know if I could play a game with that happening. I don't think I would, right? Like anybody, his message was, my brother was more than his life's mistakes. He was family. I will carry him with me this game. And he did that, David. It was an inspired performance. I thought this was his best game in a long time. And he was doing it kind of on the wings of his brother.
Absolutely. That his brother was on his mind and in his heart while he was out there. And he wanted to go out there and make plays for him. And he did that. 9 tackles, a sack, a tackle for loss, and a pass defense. He dedicated this game to his brother. And I know that he made his brother proud with his performance. He had a big sack in this game. I know he dropped to his knees and was staring up there praying for his brother. And I know this was really tough. And I know his teammates were there supporting him and being there through him. And our thoughts and prayers are with him. We love you, Deion. We are very sorry that this happened. And all of our prayers and thoughts are with you. Thank you for giving everything that you had to your team today.
And I know, obviously, this is something that's very close to David's heart, going through, his sister right now battling through cancer. I know that you saw this and it had a special connection with you, and you still show up. He still showed up, right? And you finding a way to turn, that sadness, that emptiness the depression that comes with that, and channeling it into, wanting to go do something for that person, and paying your respects to that person through you on the field, on the show, whatever the case may be. But just a total tragedy. There's nothing that I can say right now that's going to make Deion Henley feel better about the situation, but I can promise you this: he feels very good about the performance that he went and had out there for his brother. Nothing he can do to change it. But man, he's going through a lot off the field. It's not just this.
Yeah.
And you have to remember, these guys are humans. There's no off switch. You can't turn the emotions off. He posted after the game, this one's for my brother. His head is in his hands. He's crying. What an emotional performance from Deion Henley. And, just another reason why I'll continue to ride the Deion Henley bandwagon and just continue to kind of feel like this dude is going to be one of the best players in the league. And I think being able to persevere through what he must have been going through mentally and emotionally to have the performance that he had in this game should not be undersold or underappreciated. Deion, shout out to you, man. Obviously, anything we can do, any message you want us to send for you, man, and get out there, you know who to call. And we can't wait to get you back on the show, man. Maybe talk about some of, what made your brother great. But that is going to wrap things up for today's show. Chargers are in a weird spot. Obviously, you don't want to overreact to the Chargers beating a bad team. They beat a bad team that they should beat. They fought through adversity, and they got the win after it started ugly, and they didn't let it spiral. They deserve, appreciation and respect for that. The way you played today isn't going to win you Sunday Night Football, and the Chargers have a lot ahead of them that they have to get figured out, including if they're going to make a trade at this deadline that is coming up in only a couple of games or a couple of days. The time is now. If they're going to do something, this is the time they have to do it, and we'll see in just a couple of days what they decide to do and what Joe Ortiz does. But I know there's going to be a lot of buy or sells about that tomorrow, so if you guys want to hit us up for that, hit us up at LockedOnLAC on Twitter, where we will put a post out. Hit us up at LockedOnChargers on Instagram, in the YouTube comments, on our Locked On Chargers Facebook page, or call into the voicemail line at 323-524-7924 and give us your 30-second Chargers buy or sell there, because there's a lot that has to happen. But thank you guys, as always, for tuning into today's show, especially the live victory post-game shows are always so much fun. To make sure you don't miss it, go subscribe or follow for free on the Locked On Chargers YouTube channel and listen wherever you get your podcasts from. We'll be back with you guys tomorrow. Make sure you get in your big Chargers overreactions or storylines I know there's a lot flying around out there. We'll be back with you guys tomorrow. Until then, take it easy and go Bolts.